Hi guys, Miss Zimmer here for a little bit more of section 9.2, or problems that you're seeing on your quiz. So let me get that started here. These problems are still using 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90. So that's going to come up again. Here's the first one. It was 22 on 9.2. We had a triangle with an altitude. This was A, B, C, and D that we're going to solve for. And on this side was a 45, 45, 90, and this side was a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And they only gave you one number, 9 root 2. So let's take this one triangle at a time. Let's take this 45, 45, 90. And we've got C and A here, and 9 root 2. Well, if we look at our 45, 45, 90 triangles, X, X, and X root 2, we see that the 9 is the X value. So both of these sides would be 9. So let's go back. C is equal to 9. A is equal to 9. Well, now this triangle is finished. Let's move on to this triangle. Our 30, 60, 90 triangle. And now we have a side here that's 9, and we're looking for B and D. Well, our formulas are X, 2X, and X root 3. So we've got it made. Our X value of 9, 2X value is twice as much, 2 times 9, 18 for B. And our D value, we just plug the 9 in here, 9 root 3 for D. And then we're finished. 9 root 3 and 18. And we have all the values in our original problem. All right, moving on to another problem. Again, it's going to have 30, 60, 90, but you're going to say, wait, where did that triangle come from? There was no triangle in the picture. It gives you actually a trapezoid looking picture, because we're used to seeing trapezoids now, like this. All right, so if you have this, what you can do is drop a perpendicular line down. These are now both right angles. So we have a rectangle. So what is B? Oh, I'm sorry, not 13, not yet. I jumped ahead. We need to find this length so we can subtract it from 13 and find this length, because this is the same as B down here. Okay. So looking at our first triangle here, we see that 5 root 3 is that side, because we have a rectangle. Opposite sides are congruent. Now, let's just take this triangle for a moment and let's put our formulas on it, okay? This is an A, by the way, not a 9. Our formulas would be X, 2X for the hypotenuse, X root 3 for the side opposite 60 degrees. Now, can you see? X has to be 5. So now if X is 5, the A value is twice as much. X is 5. And the A value, which is 2X, is 10. So we still need to find our B value down here. So 5 from 13 gives us 8. This opposite side in a rectangle, 8. And we're finished with that problem. All right, moving on. I think that was number 23 in the 9.2 homework. Okay, next one up. All right, the problem says a farmer's conveyor belt carries a bale of hay. So there's a bale of hay and it's moving up this conveyor belt. Carries a bale of hay from the barn to the barn loft. The conveyor belt moves at 200 feet per minute. 200 feet per minute. And you have to complete all of these different parts. Now, it does say that this is a 30-degree incline in the picture and that this is 14 feet high. Okay. So we need to, one, a conveyor belt is the conveyor belt is the hypotenuse. It's not one of the legs. Second question, a minute equals 60 seconds. Everybody knew that. See, what's the length of the conveyor belt? So this is where we start solving for the actual value of the hypotenuse. So this would be our x value and our 2x value, noting shortest side, hypotenuse, long leg. So the conveyor belt would be 28, twice as long as the height in that case. Then it says, how many seconds does it take for a bale to go up the conveyor? Well, if we've got 28 feet, okay, and it takes 200 feet per minute, okay, and we want to know how many minutes, well, let's just go ahead and make that m. That's cross multiplied, 28 times 200 m. And then we can just divide that and find our value. 28 divided by 200 is 0.14 minutes. And of course, double check and read that. Seconds. Now, if it asks you exactly how many seconds, you could do times 60, and it would be about 8.4 seconds, because this is actually this is your minutes, because we're still, this is minutes. Sorry to switch it on you. 200 feet per minute, so this is minutes. So if you do times 60, that's going to give you 8.4 seconds. So that was probably what tripped some of you guys up with that. So you were putting in 0.14 for the seconds. It's 8.4 seconds. Make sure you read that whether they want it in minutes, whether they want it in seconds, or how to round that. All right. So I've got one final problem. I think we can knock this one out. It's a little complicated, but now that you're becoming an expert at 30, 60, 90, and 45, 90 triangles, it'll get a little easier. So this problem, there were two braces. So here's the ground. There's a brace at a 45-degree angle, and there was also a brace at a 30-degree angle here. So we have a 30, 60, 90 and a 45, 45, 90, and they overlap. The only number that they gave you is that the hypotenuse here is 15 meters, and they wanted two things. They wanted the brace length for the 30, 60, 90 triangle, or the hypotenuse, and they also wanted the difference here between those two braces for the height. So we're going to separate the triangles as we did on a previous one. We're going to start with the 45, 45, 90. And just as before, your very favorite, when the hypotenuse is equal to x root 2, that's its formula. This side is x and this side is x. Well, what do you have to do? You have to solve it. You have to rationalize. Well, actually, in this one, because they want the lengths of it and you don't need to rationalize, you can get away with decimals, but we're going to practice not using decimals until we answer the final answer. So here, if this is 15 equals x root 2, then x root 2 equals 15. We divide by root 2. And we get 15 over root 2. We know it needs to be rationalized. And when we rationalize it, we get 15 root 2 over 2. And we can leave it in this form, or we can make it 7.5 root 2. As long as my math lab doesn't get mad at you turning it into a decimal in the front, they should not. So that x value is this height. 7.5 root 2, or 15 root 2 over 2. Now, how is that going to help? Well, that is also this length down here, 7.5 root 2. And that now turning to our 30, 60, 90 triangle is now the base of that, 13.5 root 2. And this is your hypotenuse. So that's our 2x, this is our x, and this is our x root 3. And you're like, what? This is where luckily we can use a decimal. And we can just do the 2x value, which is twice as much. So now that we're allowed to have a decimal for this value, rounded to the nearest tenth, we just say 7.5 times root 3. So I'm going to do 7.5 root 3, so times that gives me 18.37 or 18.4 here. Well, I didn't double it, so I'm going to double it really quickly. This is 18.4. So I'm going to double it. Excuse me for one sec. So this is your 18.4 on the calculator. I'm just going to double check my calculations. Excuse me there. Double checking my calculations. I noticed that root 2 and then times 7.5 actually comes up to 10.6. My apologies. And then we double it, times 2. I hit a wrong button on the calculator the first time. So 21.2 meters. So that will give you this value, 21.2 meters for that hypotenuse, the length of that brace. Now we still have to take care of this part. So we do need this measure, but we also need the length of the whole thing. And that's what this x root 3 is going to take care of. So we're going to actually plug in 7.5 root 2 times root 3. We're going to put that in our calculator. And you could put it in straight. I go ahead and change that to root 2 times root 3 is root 6, just to make it easier. So the square root of 6 times 7.5, that's 18.4. There's my 18.4 number. And that number is going to be put right here. 18.4. That's this whole length going all the way down. Now my 7.5 root 2 number, 7.5 root 2 we said was 10.6. Okay, and we can subtract that. So we would get 18.4 minus 10.6, and we have 7.8 for that. Now you may want to keep these numbers to the nearest hundredth before you subtract them. Hopefully that didn't alter or make a tenth off at all with the calculations. Right, I hope that helped you figure out some of those complex problems and helped you with 30, 60, 90 and 45, 90 triangles. All right, catch you next time. Good luck with your quiz.